What's going on, Angelo family? I'm your host, Angelo Carlos, and welcome to Tesla Talks. In today's video, we're going to go over now whether I think the Tesla Model S is the best daily driver. So for me, I've owned a Model 3, a Model S, a Model X, a Model Y, as well as a Model S long range. So because I've had all three cars, I feel like I'm kind of in a good point of view and a good way to actually tell you guys whether or not I think this is the best car. So overall, when it comes to range, Model S is king. The reason being, Model S long range can get 405 miles of range. The Model X can get around 350. The Model 3 around 350 as well. The Model Y around 320, 330. But the Model S can get the most range with about 405 if you go with the 19-inch wheels. For me, it's a very expensive car, so I decided to go with the Arachne wheels because I wanted to look good. Do you sacrifice range? Yes. Do you sacrifice comfort? Yes. Not a lot. The reason being is because I've had the Model S with the 19-inch wheels of 405 miles of range. That was my daily driver when my car was in the shop because they gave me the Model S long range with those wheels. And it did feel slightly more comfortable, but it wasn't very noticeable. In a sense where it was cool. I could kind of feel a difference, but honestly, not really. It was still the same car for me, right? And I remember thinking oh, do I really want to spend $2,000 for smaller wheels for more efficiency and range? Yes and no. Got to test drive it for a day or two, driving to and from Southern California to Northern California. Not a big difference, and I chose to not go with those smaller wheels and smaller rims for more range efficiency, because for me, I enjoyed the aesthetic more, and that 20 more miles of range wasn't gonna change my life. Fortunately for me, when I bought this car used, it had the Arachne rims, 21-inch wheels, and it actually shows the red brake calipers, which I painted red, they were originally black, more than if you add the 19-inch wheels where you remove the hubcap and it's more like you kind of see it, but not really, and then you kind of lose that range and efficiency. So for me, Arachne wheels were way more worth it, and they were just more aesthetically pleasing for me for the Model S long range. So think of it like this. Aesthetics for this car, top tier. It looks like a Tesla Roadster. I know the Roadster isn't out yet, but it definitely looks like a Tesla Roadster. Model 3s. You see a lot of Model 3s on the road because it's Tesla's car to mass to all of its customers. Model X. You see that a lot more than the Model S because a lot of families buy that car, right? A lot of families buy the Model X, especially kind of the older ones or the refresh ones, because you get 5 or 6 people comfortably, as well as it's kind of like the EV's bougie minivan, to be honest with you. And then you have the Model Y. The Model Y is Tesla's best-selling car because of how efficient it is, how much range it gets, how big it is for a family, for people who want an EV, as well as it still qualifies for the EV tax rebate. The Model S, on the other hand, is Tesla's premium car, where it's about $69,000, $75,000, maybe even $80,000 for the Plaid. And you see a lot of the older Model S's, like the Model S's with the bubble in the front, the ones with the chrome still. But the Model S long range, the Model S refresh, which is like the Plaid version of it, you rarely see that car. And that's why I like driving it, because Tesla is probably my favorite brand, my favorite car. And I see a lot of Teslas on the road, but very rarely do I see a Model S long range or a Model S Plaid. This is because it's honestly more expensive to own the car, right? It doesn't have an EV rebate. Also, if you can get a cheaper car, fits more people, and you have a family, why not get that car? For me, I understood that I don't have a family right now. I like nice cars. I'm in this position where I've worked very hard to be able to afford a nice car. So I'm gonna get the car I want, right? When it comes to comfort, that is another question. With regards to space, the Model X had the most space. The Model Y had the most space, which was the bang for your buck. The Model 3 was extremely tight, meaning that I've had friends riding with me in the Model 3, and it was just too tight. Like, they would sit in the front seat, and they just couldn't, fit, right? Granted, they were around kind of they were, a lot more built, or they were, kind of heavier, but it was very tight for them. Also, the Model 3 didn't really have much space in the trunk. If you ever had a Model Y, Model S, Model X, a lot of space in the trunk, because it's a much bigger car, of course, right? However, space wasn't the best in the Model 3. Trunk was a little bit smaller. Trunk was smaller. If you wanted to put a lot of things in the car, you would have to put the back seats down, which I didn't enjoy because sometimes things would slip off and they would kind of fall forward. I was like, not a fan of this. Model Y, great space, because the Model Y had a larger hatchback. The clearance level from your head to the top of the roof was much more spacious, and I wouldn't have to basically move around. I wouldn't have to move the seat so far back to get more space. And then the people in the back seat who were sitting in the back seat of the Model Y, they always felt like they had a lot of space. But the Model 3, everyone was super cramped. Everyone was kind of trying to finagle their way for more room, especially on long road trips with the Model 3. The Model 3 had not much room. It was very fun to drive because it was very zippy. But when it came to the room, it wasn't there, especially for your people sitting in the back. I would always recommend you only have one or two people sit in the back, because the Model 3 wasn't that comfortable in the back for people. Of course you have room, but for long drives, not the best. The Model Y, amazing room, right? Amazing head clearance over here. Passenger seat, they always had a lot of room. Back seat, they always had a lot of room. One of my favorite cars to go on long road trips because of the amount of room and how comfy the seats were. The only gripe I had with it was that I had a Model Y Performance, and it only had around 302 miles of range when you bought it. That degraded to around 280 after a year or so, and I was always finding myself charging to and from my destinations, and I did not enjoy that whatsoever. So that was the only gripe I had with the Model Y Performance, was that the range wasn't good. But today, if you get the Model Y long range with the rear-wheel drive, you get around 320 miles of range, dual motor 310 miles of range, and that's a very good deal because you still get the EV rebate, and the EV rebate is now applied to the Tesla itself, where you actually buy the car, they take the $7,500 off the purchase price of the car. It's essentially your tax if you're here in California, which is kind of crazy. Tax plus your destination fee. So you get the actual true price of the car is whatever it just says on the website. That's the one thing about Tesla. Tesla's website, they'll kind of finagle the prices where they'll say you have a lot of gas savings, right? Don't look at that. That's not the real price, because the gas savings, yes, they're gas savings, but you do pay a lot for electricity and you do pay a lot for charging, right? Because sometimes you'll supercharge at a high peak hour. Sometimes you'll charge at your house at a high peak hour, and you do save money on gas, but significance, I don't know, for $500 a year, and then they kind of deduct it for 4 or 5 years. They're it's kind of sketchy math that you guys are doing right here. I wish you guys just put the normal price of the car associated with the tax and destination fee, and then I'd be more inclined to be okay, that's the real price. That's one thing I've noticed kind of with marketing, with companies, is that they will make the price cheaper than it is so that the consumer will be hey, this is a great deal. They're more likely to purchase it. And then once you go to the checkout screen, you look up all the final total cost of it when it comes to depreciation when it comes to the actual cost to loan out the car, the interest rate, the whole kind of shebang itself, and you see that the car is much more expensive than you see on that final price on the website. So that's one thing I recommend you do, is that if you do go buy a car from Tesla, make sure that you go to the Tesla service center where they're actually or the salespeople, where salespeople are, have them actually give you the real numbers, not the numbers on that website, because the website will kind of trick you a little bit. You want the final out the door price. Tesla is non-negotiable when it comes to their price, but make sure you do just reach out to the actual sales team and get the real price broken down in the documentation, so that you're not paying more for your car you see online than what your car is actually being sold for. Also, keep in mind, right now, during the time of filming this, we are in a high interest rate environment where your prices for the cars are lower, yes, but they're kind of being balanced out with the high interest rates that you're going to get loans from the banks, and you will be paying a lot more in your monthly payments, especially if they're going for 60 to 72 months to 84 months for a vehicle. So keep that in mind when you do purchase a car. You must take into account the interest rates. You must take into account that the car does depreciate in value over time, because it is a mass-produced car from Tesla. It is not a collector's item. It is a car that is produced for the masses. I knew that too when I bought this car, and it depreciated $25,000 once I left the lot. Once it's been a year past this purchase date of the car. So just keep that in mind. Okay, when it comes to the comfort of the Model X, a lot of room, right? Great family car. I would drive the 6-seater whenever I'd rental it, and when I had the Model X refresh, 5 seats. 5 seats, extremely comfortable for the people in the back, as well as the people in the front. Trunk space and front space is amazing. And I think if you have a family, that's a great family car, especially if they have kids who have like a lot of stuff in the back, taking them to and from school. You're basically moving a lot of people as well as stuff with your items that you own to and from a lot of places. If you're going traveling a lot with your family, Model X is an amazing, great car for that. I've had managers at Google who drove the Model X, and they loved it because they had their 2-3 kids, their mother and father, their husband, and they all fit in the car, right? Because it was like a 4 + 3, a 7-seater car that they would get, right? So they were always really happy with that. Also, the captain's chair was amazing because of the amount of comfort, right? If I was going to be a passenger in the Model X, I'd always want to sit in the captain's chair. For me, don't have a family, and I knew that I wouldn't want to just drive a giant car to and from work, especially if it's just me inside the car, let alone like a family. So I knew it was the most comfortable. It had an amazing suspension because of the air suspension. It was a much bigger car, especially on smaller wheels. It was nice. However, it was not the car for me. So for me, I went with the Model S, which we're in right now. And for those of you who are curious, this is the Model S refresh. As you can see in the thumbnail, in the picture, whatever it may be, the Model S refresh, amazing car, because you have the new chromed out black all throughout the car, which I do like a lot. You have a longer or much wider horizontal front screen for the Tesla. It has a horizontal view rather than that vertical view on the older Model S's. The older Model S's are interesting because that vertical view, it gets very pixelated. It tends to fade over time, and I didn't like that because I feel like you pay so much for a car, you want it to look nice and do well. And I like coming from Model 3 and Model Y, that horizontal screen gave you more screen real estate, especially when you would watch YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, watch Angelo Carlos when you're supercharging. Always fun to learn more about Tesla. So I did enjoy that with the car. Like, I like the horizontal screen, much easier to watch everything, and especially with the map. The map was really nice. As you use full self-driving, you have a horizontal map, which is the map of the screen, and then you have the map on the left side, which is kind of like above the dash board, right? Which isn't present on the Model S. Which isn't present on the Model 3 and Y, and is not present on the Cybertruck, which is kind of cool. So kind of go with that layout for the interior. It's really nice. Also, the interior is nice because you have a screen in the back where you're able to just look at the screen, especially if you have drivers or people people who are sitting in the back seat, like kids or friends who want to watch in the back. You have an infotainment system in the back, and a lot of people do enjoy that. They love like sitting there, watching it from there, and then being able to control the music from that back seat, which is really cool. I originally had the yoke steering wheel for this car, and I did not like it at all because for full self-driving, it was like a giant square that was just turning and almost hit you. But for daily driving, it was cool. It was fun to drive. I felt like I was driving a jet plane. And I just didn't like it though, because I would always have it on autopilot or full self-driving. It would just change. Also, I didn't like making turns with it. A lot of people like making turns with it. I think it was fine on the Cybertruck to make turns with it, but for me, the yoke on the S and the X was not fun for me. And they kind of charge $1,000 now for that yoke. So if you want to buy a yoke for your S or your X, it's $1,000 on top of what you're already paying. Also, you're going to be taxed 8, 9, 10%. So it's another $100. So $1,100 for a yoke, which is kind of crazy to me because I thought the yoke was cool at first, and then I kind of got used to it. And I was just like, I just don't like it. I kind of went with the normal steering wheel. So that's one thing, right? When it comes to the comfort of the Model S, very spacious. Seats are solid. They feel like sports car seats. So if you ever had a sports car, that's kind of how the seats feel like on a Model S. And this is the black interior. They held up pretty well in the sense where they don't really get too dirty or anything. Like, the only time there's like stains or dirt is just like from coffee or from food that I was probably eating where I was supercharging. And it never was a big deal for me. So I kind of enjoyed that. The black seats were easier maintenance. I've had white seats before, and I just kind of got over the white seats where I was like, I always have to take a look. They're easy to clean, but I always have to wonder like, oh, is my arms dirty? Is my legs dirty? Is it gonna make the seats dirty? Someone spilled some food and you gotta wipe it. It's just kind of annoying. But they were easy to clean, right? And when it got hot on the summer days, especially in California, it was nice having white seats because you were able to just really like not have to worry about the seats getting super hot or anything. But the thing is with the new Model S's as well as the Model 3s, like the seats are all ventilated, right? So you can just basically turn on the air and they'll kind of cool you down as you're driving, and you won't have to worry about the seats being too hot per se, which I do enjoy. I do appreciate. They have this feature on the Model 3 Highland now where the seats are ventilated and they do a really good job. So if you've ever driven this Model S long range or Model S refresh, Model S plaid, you will see ventilated seats, which are a pleasure to sit in, especially if it's super hot. With regards to the comfort, the suspension of the car, it is kind of bumpy, yes. I've had smoother suspension on the Model 3 Highland than I've had on the Model S long range. Kind of crazy, right? So if you want a very smooth suspension car, go with the Model 3 Highland. It is much smoother than the air suspension. And even though there's no air suspension on the Model 3 Highland, they made it really comfortable. I don't know if it's just because of the long range, smaller wheels, but I've driven Cybertruck and the Model 3 Highland. They probably have improved the suspension on both cars, and they were the most comfortable suspension I've had for all of my Teslas. So Cybertruck I just rented, in case you guys ever saw my content. That Cybertruck is rented, but I wanted to make content with it. I wanted to experience it, see if this actual car I'll buy. I liked it, but I don't know if it's practical to drive every day. It's just too freaking big. But it looks cool. People look at you, and it's kind of funny. It makes great content, but to daily driver, I don't know. This daily driver is probably, if you drive a ton, it's going to be the Model S long range because of how much range it gets, of how nice it looks aesthetically, and just the comfort and feel and the premiumness that you kind of feel from driving the car. And you don't really see much people having it, so you kind of feel a little special. I know it's kind of lame, but you do kind of feel a little special for driving it. And it makes you kind of happy, especially if you're a big Tesla fan. And Model 3 is probably a great daily driver if you just kind of want to save more money, great bang for your buck car, and you don't want to spend too much. Model Y, if you have a family, if you like moving a lot of things, amazing daily driver because you get the $7,500 rebate. And then the Model X, it's okay. especially if it's like, can't really justify spending that much money on a car. It's like more of a luxury. I'd rather go with the Model Y long range or Model Y rear-wheel drive, get the $7,500 rebate, be able to move everyone. So overall, Model S long range, would I give it as the best daily driver? I think so. If you have the budget, go get it. I give it an 8.5 out of 10 just because of the amazing range, the way it looks. Suspension knocks it a bit down because suspension isn't the best. And then I wish they updated the exterior interior a little bit more than just changing it chrome and adding the different screens. So yeah. Angelo family, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We are growing so fast, and I appreciate you every day for helping making this channel what it is. We're around 3,600 subscribers, and we continue to grow. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Please watch Angelo Carlos Talks. It's my business finance channel, and look at all the links below. And follow me on Instagram at Angelo Carlos, as well as TikTok. Love you, Angelo fam. Have an amazing day. Thank you so much. Peace.